this is the Provoked Prawn, and I'm here to compare the HyperX Pulsefire Haste 2 wireless with the glorious Model 02 wireless. These are two interesting mice, and comparable in some ways. For example, you'll see they both have 6 programmable buttons, they both have similar specs with up to 26,000 DPI, 650 IPS max speed, and both Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz wireless, but they are also quite a bit different. When you put them side by side, for example, you'll see that the Pulsefire Haste 2 wireless is a little bit smaller, and it doesn't have the same level of RGB lighting that the glorious Model 02 wireless does. And yet it has a lightweight frame without the holes, which makes it interesting in its own right, and it's also superior in terms of battery life, at least in my experience. I'll leave a link to the reviews that I've done on both these mice in the description so you can find out more, but here I'm going to talk to you about the features of each, the comparison between them, what they like to use, and the things of interest. Now, they both come with similar setup in the box, although there are some differences that are worth covering. They both have 2.4 GHz, as I mentioned. They both have a dongle and an extender dock. They both use USB-C for charging purposes, as you can see there, and it plugs in nicely with the HyperX mouse, and I'll talk about why that matters in a minute. And you'll see on the underside it has these slick PTFE areas and a little place for your docking your dongle, as well as a button to switch between Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz, making everything pretty convenient. The glorious mouse has a similar setup that too uses USB-C and has a dongle to extend things, but it also uses USB-C in a weird way because you can only plug it in one way round, which is frustrating, I'll be honest. The other thing that made this interesting is Glorious claims up to 210 hours of battery life, but that's over Bluetooth, and 110 hours over 2.4 GHz. My experience was significantly less than this, and this partly may be down to the RGB lighting, but what I found was I was plugging it in a lot, and the fact that you can only plug it in one way led to some frustrations in use because it just was a bit more fiddly to plug in than the HyperX mouse, and I was plugging it in more often, so it's a bit of an annoyance. They both are lightweight mice, and as you'll see, the HyperX mouse comes in at 62 grams, whereas the glorious Model 02 comes in at 70, so it's a bit heavier despite having the holes. Now, the thing that's interesting about the HyperX mouse is it used to, the original version, the HyperX Pulsefire Haste had holes in it, but now it doesn't, and it has still a solid frame, but obviously on the internals, they've shed some of the weight in that way from the shell, so it still feels light and agile, and it comes with grip tape included in the box, so you can put that on, and it only makes it 67 grams. So if you don't like holes, then the HyperX mouse is the one to go for. However, the glorious mouse potentially looks a lot nicer with that RGB lighting. You can see from various angles you've got some nice RGB there. And you have an adjustable DPI button on top. You can switch between various different levels, and you'll see that there's an RGB LED indicator on the underside, so you know what level of DPI you're at, which is pretty handy. Now, the HyperX mouse also has a DPI switch on top, and the RGB on the mouse wheel changes color to let you know what level you're at, and it will also let you know when your battery is running low by flashing as well. So there's a lot of different indications there, and pretty handy in that setup. So not as snazzy in the RGB, but that does save battery life, and the RGB is actually useful as well, so it's pretty handy in that way. Now, I would recommend updating the firmware for the glorious Model 02 wireless. You might find that helps with battery life and just the usability of it. Now, I'm going to do a sound test on the switches in a minute so you can hear the difference between them, but obviously they're both lightweight mice. I found them both pretty easy to throw about. As I said already, I feel like the Pulsefire Haste 2 is the smaller of the two. You can see at the beginning shots when I had them side by side, it looks a bit smaller. If you have a smaller hand, then you'll probably find this is a nicer fit. However, I still found it comfortable. I still found it easy to use. It has a matte finish on it, and if you throw on the grip tape, it makes it even grippier, obviously. So you have that option to do that. The glorious with those holes is nice and easy to grip, but whether it will get dirty over time, only time will tell. But you can see that it is the nicer looking of the two. It is a very nice looking mouse, and I found it reasonably nice to use. Also, the side buttons are easy to access and other things as well. But the Pulsefire Haste is not one to be estimated. They're both also reasonably affordable. The Pulsefire Haste 2 is the more affordable of the two at $89 currently, and the Glorious is $99, so there's a bit of a difference between them. Stick around now for a sound test, and then check out my full reviews linked in the description to find out more. You've made it right to the end of the video, you brilliant legend you. If you've enjoyed it, click that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below if you've got any questions. If you really enjoyed it, consider joining the channel and see the benefits of doing so. Check out these other videos, you might well find them interesting or useful, and most importantly, have a great life.